but it was just like passion, you know, like I'm looking.
Letting go, yeah, it isn't easy. Two hearts slowly breaking, living the highs and lows, I'm keeping busy. Don't know if we're worth saving. Are we meant to be, or are we second guessing? Would you stay with me if the world was ending?
My soul got kicked in. I was like, what's gonna welcome to it? My name is Solow, and welcome to the SolowSays YouTube channel. Welcome back to my channel. What's good? Before we introduce the obvious person to the left of me, I just want to say, if you do like our vibe, please do subscribe, like, and comment and all that good stuff, because the love that you send to us, we send right back at you. Yes sir, yes ma'am. But okay, you can already see by today's title, we are having a little chat. We are having a little chat about the birds and the bees and how it relates to God and spirituality and all that good tea. But you can also see that it is a mukbang, because the lady, when I allow herself to introduce herself, is going to tell us exactly why we eating when she is in my presence and all that good stuff. So Chiko, take it away. Who are you? What are you about? What's the 411?
Okay. Well.
And she looks amazing. Like, I just told her, come casual. She said, where?
My name is Chikondi. That's my government name, Chikondi. Some people prefer to call me Chikoberry. Some people just call me Chiko. Whichever one that you prefer. So I have a food page on Instagram and a food business. So I sell food and I create food content on Instagram. Hopefully soon, with the help of my dear friend here, we're gonna be creating a YouTube channel soon. But
Into existence, yes.
The food is what we're about, basically and essentially.
Yes.
Darling, you send me, I know you do. Send me, I know you do. Send me. 1, 2, 3, funky. My darling, I love you, 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 I love you.
To debut herself on YouTube and her cooking, because we definitely want to see a channel. I mean, I love watching people who make food. We do have a meal here that Chiko cooked, and I think we should like show you. It's what would you call this dish?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's just a mixture of different food.
Okay.
Like, I think, in my opinion, goes like really well together. You should try it.
It's so heartfelt. Like, you know when people are like, I want a wife. You know? And then it's like, can she cook? And then you show this dish and she's like, okay, she good to go.
So dramatic.
I mean, so I don't know if you can see this, but let's do some food bonbon. What do they call it?
Boom, boom, boom. Shh. Yeah.
Yes, we've got some of our sauce of that. I hope you were able to see it. And we have some like cheesecake for the dessert. Ooh. But the real meal is the conversation. The real meal, Chiko, is the conversation that we are going to have. Let me tell you why I decided to use Chiko as my first guest. Yes, she did come with food.
OMG!
Yes, it's about the food. But more than that, I know Chiko because we attend the same church and we are in the same community. Community is something that you get from church. But like, in what way? Like, when you go there and you like, yo, I'm new.
They put you in like smaller groups for you to be able to connect with people, get yourself familiar to people. And you know, when you're at church and you're like in that big space and big group of people, sometimes it's very hard to like open up about certain things. And that things that you're struggling with, you know, being closer to God, like in your personal life. Basically, they're just there to help you walk in your journey with Christ.
Yes, I wanted to say that it's a walk. It's a family that helps you walk with God, like closer to. So we in the same community.
She's my sister.
I don't know what to show you. Definitely. But definitely I do really vibe with Chiko, and I feel like my channel my channel is all about having conversations with people that I feel like truly are thinking different, doing life different, who are go-getters, and who truly inspire those around them. And for me, she's really inspirational. And the little conversations that we Chiko, she's just standing in power. She's just making me blush the whole time. Yes, so the things that she does is very inspiring, of course, and the little conversations that I've had with her have also helped me to think differently. So I feel like this conversation is perfect to have with her, because she is very involved with God, and she does know the word, and she loves, I hope so. I hope she loves God, and she's very close to God. And just like me, you know, I love the Bible, love myself some Jesus, but also she's a person who is relatable. And like in the times that we live in, we are the youth, and we but older youth, you understand? And we are those type of people who have certain conversations that make people itch, nervous, and anxious. So that's what we're going to do today. This is a long intro, but I hope it was worth it. And we're going to get into the food, and we're going to discuss. So it's like a mukbang with Chiko and all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we're gonna get into the food now. So yeah, we said our prayers. Hopefully, I said mine inside. She just said something outside. Didn't hear what that is, but it sounded like it was
a prayer.
It was a prayer. Okay, so Chiko, while you are getting into the food, my first question to you is, why do you think the conversation around sexual interactions and all these sexual phenomena, sex talk, you understand, is important for people seeking a close relationship with God?
I feel like sex is actually like, it's so weird to say that word.
Profanity.
But genuinely, lust and sex is actually a very big deal and a very big part of the youth. Something that we all struggle with. But I just don't feel like being a Christian, being a youth, going to church, we don't talk about it enough in a safe space. What I mean by that is, we have all gone to church and they tell us, oh, don't watch porn, don't have sex before marriage, don't be doing all that dirty, nasty stuff. But it's like, now when you're actually going through that stuff, you're scared and you don't want to bring it to the light, because it's just so embarrassing. And there's certain things that are okay for guys to go through, and girls, it's almost a taboo. But it's like, we all struggle with these things, and I think we need to create a much more safer environment for people to be open and honest about what they're going through. Definitely. I think you brought up some valuable points there, that these conversations need to be had in a safe space. Now, my channel, I'd like to think that my channel is a space where you can come to and you can get advice and wisdom on certain things that you wouldn't usually get in other spaces. And it would come from a person who is, I'm gonna say this, in no way a licensed practitioner. I never preached a day on the pulpit. You understand? But I just sought the wisdom and knowledge for myself, and then I'm coming here to teach you and tell you that this is what I went through, this is what I did. And I think it was received in a much better way than opposed to going to the preacher and being like, yo, I'm having these feelings at night and I just don't know. And then he's like, oh, God said, you understand? Which is nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think with everything that goes on in the world, I think people need a softest place to fall, knowing that the things that you as a human are the things that you see in human life and the things that you go through does not necessarily discount you from the love of God or from what the kingdom has to offer. These conversations are to change the way that we think about sex, the way that we think about interactions with people, the way that we think about the repercussions of these things. Because no way are we going to come on here and say that everybody go out there, hook up, you understand? But it's more
It's more of like, this is what you could come across when you indulge in these type of situations. So it's very important to have it from two experienced individuals. Next question, Chiko, if you're ready. What is your views on sexual relationships? And okay, there's like 3 questions in this, so please catch up.
Okay.
What are your views on sexual relationships? So people, you know, man and a go do. You understand, doing the business. And when was your idea of sex formed in your life? When were you first exposed to sexual intertonton? These conversations are not gonna be like kids, so hope you have juice.
What is my idea? Okay, let me start with the last question. When was I first exposed to sex? I feel like I know I was really young when I was first exposed to it. I remember, this is so embarrassing.
It's the safe space.
But I can't remember how old I was, but I don't think I was even 10. I remember seeing a sex scene on TV and it made me feel away. Like, it made me feel away and I just didn't understand what was happening. It made me feel away. I think I was enjoying what I was seeing, but I didn't get why.
Okay. I was enjoying.
What was the second question?
You sex, like the relationship of it. And based on those first interactions that you had, do you think it shaped the way you see it now? Or do you think the way you see it now is like solely based on your life experience?
That is actually just so interesting. Let's get into it. So, I think sex is a very beautiful thing. I genuinely believe that sex is something that God created that should be enjoyed by the world, enjoyed mainly by a husband and a wife, right? I'm a Christian. I genuinely believe man and woman are supposed to enjoy sex because that's what God created. He created it to be enjoyed in the parameters of marriage, right? However, I cannot stand here and lie to you to say that I'm gonna wait until marriage. That's very difficult. It's actually very difficult. I'm working on it though. I would love to, I wish I had waited, but I didn't. And when was my idea, what was my idea of sex and when was it formed? I think when we're younger, you know, you're watching your mom and dad. Like, I had a very beautiful picture of marriage and like, you know, all that stuff. So, of my parents. So seeing them, like, I just had this beautiful idea of love. And then when I saw that stuff and when I was taught about sex, I thought it was supposed to only be had between a man and woman who are in love. You see? So growing up, that's all I believed. I just thought, first comes love, first comes marriage, then comes a baby and a baby carriage. Like, that stuff, that's really what I saw and believed. And then after I had my first sexual interaction, and a few other interactions after that, it started to change a bit. Things started to get a little shaky. I then started to believe and think that this is so sad, but like it almost felt like if I didn't give that part of me to my partner, he wasn't gonna rate me as much. So I used to think that as a woman, as a girl, I'm just supposed to, you know, do it for that. It wasn't necessarily a very beautiful picture anymore.
It changed your perception of it because you thought first comes love, then comes, and then when you started going out into the world, you were met with the realization that, hey, first comes
and then
maybe
so
love.
For some time, I think I was using it to validate myself or to make myself feel validated. And then I got out of that quickly. I quickly got myself out of that and started to make sure that I enjoy it.
Okay.
True. So I sort of made it a me thing, a selfish thing.
Okay.
That I'm not gonna put any emotions on it. I'm just gonna
I'm just gonna get right. I'm just gonna get right.
And then
bounce. Thank you for coming. Uber's outside.
no, like legit. There was a certain part of my life where don't touch me, don't cuddle me, don't get it confused. That's not what we're here for. You know, like keep it
wow,
moving.
that was real, which we love it, you know, and I love the fact that you can be hot, that's humble, open, and transparent. Love that from Michael Todd, you understand? But he also, I love the things that you said, that one of his sermons as well, if you want to do yourself a favor, you can go check that out too. But like in one of his sermons, he was like, sex is good, you know, sex is what God created. It is not something that society has now made us think that it's something so wicked and evil, and something that has to be shunned upon. And what's beautiful for Chiko, because she was first exposed to like what a relationship looks like through her parents' interactions. But some people are unfortunate enough, the only thing that they've seen in life is, you know, trauma when it comes to these type of acts. And like where these relationships mainly are based on like what you were then exposed to. I'm giving myself in hopes of getting something from you, you understand? Which then it becomes like a bartering relationship. For me, quickly, I was first exposed to sexual things, like probably similar ETV. You already, if you know,
now
you
looking
know.
back, I understand why like my parents didn't want me watching certain things.
Yes. Because it's the little seed that gets planted, you know, your little small mind.
That is
at
so
like
true.
9 or 10, you know, you just watch someone. Like for me, I also want to say Bold and the Beautiful Days of Our Lives. They were laying it down like what you thought it was gonna be. So I was watching those type of shows and
We're actually pretty young, guys. Like, come on.
very young. When I think of like an 8-year-old, I'm like, don't even watch the news. put on kids shows. You understand? But yeah, so I was first exposed to it like in that environment, and then when I went out into the world, you understand, it did shape the way that I expected certain things to go. And for me, it was never about like Chiko, first comes love, then comes marriage, but it was just a passion, you know, like I'm looking for passion, you understand? If there's no passion, something's wrong. we hot, yeah. So yeah, I think that's how I like perceived what that's what I perceived what it was gonna be, you understand? So in all my relationships, I was meeting someone and waiting for us to like do that eye look and then bathroom scene and then never separating, and then comes love and marriage and a golden carriage, you understand? So that was like where it first came from me. What were you taught about sex? Like, did you have the birds and the bees conversation? Did you go to school and they sat you down and they were like, this is how it's done? Did you go to church? And at church, you know, in Sunday school, they were like, when a man loves a woman, you understand? Where did you first get taught about it? Did you get taught about it?
I did get taught about it. I got taught about it by my dad. The most awkward conversation you're gonna have in the world. I got taught about it by, not taught per se, I heard about it from like the people that I used to live with that were older than me. So I'd overhear like older cousins, the neighbors that were older that I used to go play with, they used to say certain things. So I'd like pick up on stuff. The next person I had a sex conversation with was my dad. I was 13, 14, 15, somewhere there. I think he had noticed that I was interested in guys or something. I mean, like, he never admitted it, but yeah,
the proof was in the pudding.
Yeah, I think he had noticed that I was looking at guys and guys were looking at me. Then he decided to have that chat with me, and it was so awkward. Oh my gosh. He asked me what I know about sex. Oh my god, you guys. And then after that, he was basically just telling me that he doesn't advise me to do it, and because I'm too young, I don't understand a lot about it. He said my friends could be using protection and ways to protect themselves, but I don't know all the ways to do it. And I could tell that he's like also feeling very awkward having this conversation with me, but he had to have it with me.
Wow.
So that was very interesting. And then after that, I had another interaction at school, in high school, where we had life skills and they had like a brief talk about sex. I think it was like a couple lessons about sex. They were basically telling us about STDs, STIs, and all that stuff. But I think the more I grew, like when I came to varsity and I had like YouTube in the top of my finger, when I'm curious, I go and ask YouTube. Or if I thank God for giving me the friends that I do have, surround myself with, that I can be so open and honest. We ask each other certain things, and then, your curiosity gets answered. I do, however, wish that I had somebody from a church perspective to have these open and honest conversations with, so that it's from a biblical perspective as well. I mean, it's very, shallow. It's at a very shallow level that we enter that conversation in that manner. But yeah, I guess that's my story over there.
Thanks for sharing. You said so much there. So contrary to what society puts out there, you understand, the education that we get, I think, on sex and sexual interrelations and intimacy is it's very hush. Things are real, but they're not said in their true depth. So, for example, like Chiko, she was just exposed to kissing, by older people. They were there, they were watching. It was like, oh, you kids, kiss, you understand? Not knowing that was another seed being planted, and then the intensity of that the depth of what they were doing was then going to reveal themselves in the future. You understand? Your father having the conversation with you about sex is great. Like, that's pretty rare, most parents are like, don't do it. You'll have a baby. And to the guys, it's like, wear a condom, those type of conversations. And it's very rare that a father actually puts himself outside of his comfort zone and he's like, listen, here's the 411. And it's so great that he mentioned your friends could be doing something that you are not doing, but they're not sharing that with you, because he understands the immaturity of the youth, that we see something, we assume it is something light, and then we partake in it because we have not been taught in depth about what is going on. So I think even but on my side of situations is that I was taught about sex and sexual interactions by the people that I was surrounded by. It was by my cousins as well, they were older, and I had this one cousin, she would tell me everything, she was a talker, she's 5 years older than me, so I would live through her stories. You understand? Unconsciously, she didn't know that's what she was kind of programming me to do. And she also didn't understand the depth of the situation. But she was just like, oh my gosh, Nati, I met this guy, we went on a date, went back to his place, it was amazing, this is what he did, this is how I felt.
How old were you?
I was
how deep were the details?
She didn't leave any stone unturned. She'd be like, I'm not going back to him because the way he did this to me, I was probably maybe exiting primary school, going into high school, and then our conversations, because she was already at the end of high school when I entered grade 8. So she was telling me her stories when she was in high school.
Oh man.
So you understand. But again,
did it make you sort of crave those sort of experiences?
Exactly. I was craving something I knew nothing about. I would sit there tell me more.
Oh my gosh.
And not knowing that my little mind couldn't fathom the intensity of the interactions that they were having. And I think a lot of us are casually introduced to these topics, or then bio tells you, and life science and everything, or biology tells you that, okay, this is what you get if you so happen to partake in this situation. And it's not going to be pretty. You're going to look like you were thrown through the tractors and you thrashed.
Basically.
You did, you understand? So that too was not even talking about the intimacy of what was going on and the spirituality. And because we find ourselves on the path of like God and spirituality and stuff like that, there's a whole nother side of what is going on that is not often taught or spoken about. So the next conversation that I want to take us into is the fact that we have to lose the negative stigma around sex, because God did invent sex and it was invented for a purpose. Now, we are not saying that you and your ill-informed mindset goes out there and does everything and does the most, but I mean like that idea that, okay, I've already done this act. Am I now a lady of the night? Am I a charlatan? Who am I when it comes to my relationship with God? Do I even look up at the cross, or am I just riddled in no entry?
Am I doomed for hell?
Yes, am I doomed for eternity? And I think that the Bible even says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. We have to educate ourselves on what the consequences of sex is. So that's the conversation that I want to take us into. That yes, sex
That
is not a
tea
bad...
is not pretty. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, don't even say that though, because it depends, like, and it will come back to what we're gonna conversate about as well. But like, yes, you know, sex is not bad. Yes, you know, it's something that God did invent, because he said in the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. But he also said, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things that you want shall be added unto you. The Bible also says that you're supposed to study to show yourself approved. The Bible also says that when a man leaves his mother and father, he joins with his wife and he becomes one. That it is in holy matrimony that these things are then deemed glorious and divine. So the repercussions of sexual interactions, what do you think how did they play a part in your life? Like, how do you think having sex prematurely and without true knowledge affected you?
So first of all, as I sort of partially already mentioned, it affected the way I view relationships. As I said before, I saw relationships as this beautiful thing, a beautiful covenant. But now, having sex prematurely, or with those of the different interactions that I was having, it started to change, you see, because I was being treated differently, I was being looked at differently, and all that stuff. But not just that. Can I talk about soul ties?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, soul ties, emotional baggage, trauma, loss, and brokenness.
This topic is a topic of two sides. Some people believe that soul ties do exist. Some people don't believe that they exist. I personally believe that soul ties do exist. And that being said, I noticed within myself that I was never an anxious person. I never used to be anxious. But all of a sudden, there was one moment where I realized, like, I always have this anxiety within me and it just never leaves. And where did that come from? And then when I was taught about soul ties and how deep rooted they are, and that if you don't know what soul ties is, basically, do you wanna take that and explain? Okay. From my understanding, to make it quick, is basically when you sleep with somebody, you're not only just doing the physical act, your spirits are coming together as one. As God said, when he created that, he made man and woman so that they may become one. So when you sleep with someone, when you're having sex with somebody, you are giving you're giving a part of you to that person. Whether you're a man or a woman, a part of you is being taken out and being left with that person. You're also taking part of that person, you see? So you could find yourself along the way that you never used to struggle with certain things, but now all of a sudden you're struggling with those things because you've taken those spirits from that other person. I don't know if I'm making any sense or if you understand. If you have a better explanation, you're welcome to bring that up as well.
No, I feel like it's fragments of yourself that like stays with another, and then that other stays with you. But I think soul ties is the merging of with another person, mind, body, and spirit. And I continue to say this, that we are physical, but we are also spiritual. The Bible says that our war is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and authorities that are not seen. So in the spiritual realm, there's something that happens when a man and a woman, when people have sex together, there's something that does happen, you know. An intertwining of souls, you understand? And you know that your vessel, the thing that gives your body life, is soul. So when you have sexual intercourse with someone, you share spirits. Like literally. And let's not be like over the top about it, like, oh, so a piece of me is there, so I'm off. No. You'll continuously be yourself, but you are forever altered, because spiritually you are filled up and you empty yourself out, and you exchange DNA or whatever like that. So yeah, soul ties is just the spiritual, physical, and mental aspects of you combining with another individual for as long as it can be, if you don't break it. So yeah.
So back to what I was saying. How has it changed me? How has it affected me? I think also, like, giving myself to you and I'm in love with you and you leave, that's actually a very traumatic experience. Because you're giving like my emotion. I've opened up my love.
Yeah, we had a little camera malfunction, but we are back on it, back to where we left. We were still talking about the baggage that is left behind after someone, you know, after you have an sexual interaction with someone, they leave you broke, busted, disgusted, and traumatized. So let's speak a little bit on that, like the repercussions of having sexual relations with a person and the side effects, you know, because we want to glorify it, and in society it's so nice to be like, I bust it open, I gobble and swallow, you understand? Like, those things are cool, but I think not a lot of times is it acknowledged that, like, listen, it's all good and well, you know, when things are, you know, going good, but like when ish hits the fan, that's when another side is now brought out, and you have to confront the realistic side of what you have just taken part in. And that's why the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. People saying to not have sex before marriage is not just to be the party pooper, the, you know, the downer in the room, like, save your soul, but it is truly in protection. And I have not like reached the finish line. God is still working on me.
Trust and believe. Still a work in progress.
Yes, but I think we both maybe have truly been through the repercussions of our actions and the damage and the hurt that it has caused. To say that if you can guard yourself, you know, guard your heart above all things, then that is something that you should definitely look into. But as you were saying, while I get some of this cheesecake.
I feel like we've just talked about sex with the person, but it's also interesting to speak about the other stuff. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, we can get into that as well. Okay, so let me just quickly wrap up that part, like about a person and when you combine yourself with someone and you form these soul ties, you are then opening yourself up to your soul to be broken, you know, to be hurt, you understand? You're putting yourself in a position where you might be, you know, left by an individual because they are not your partner. And I'm not saying that people who get married stay together forever. We do know about the divorces, but I think especially in this day and age, and I think it's always been a thing, that when people partake in casual sexual interactions, you don't owe each other anything, you know. And sometimes you enter with a good heart on your sleeve, you understand, you're like, love me, trust me, you understand, all up there in the R&B section, but that person is on some city girl, you understand? City boy, city girl, going crazy. They're in Future's congregation every single day. They're like, I receive future, given, and then you there like being led on, and it's unfortunately a consequence of your own actions because you partook in something you didn't know the true depth of what you were going to do, and then you find girls and guys who are broken, and then they now perpetuate a cycle of hurting other people. And because your heart has been broken and you have trust issues, and you have so much of the past and the person that you just had a connection with inside of you, that anything going forward jeopardize, it kind of plays a part to sabotage those relationships that come up ahead. So there are so many repercussions of having these casual sexual interactions with people. But I think above all things, it also comes back to the hurt that you cause upon yourself. And there are things that we can do without another person next to us that also can lead us into hurt and heartache and feelings that are overwhelming, and depression and anxiety and thoughts of low self-esteem, you understand? But Chiko, take it away.
So interesting that you triggered me into this little experience that I recently had. Do you mind if I share?
Go. Share. This is a safe space.
So like I was seeing somebody, and then we're together for quite some time, and then later to find out that he wasn't exactly feeling me the way I was feeling him. We were in a whole relationship for about 8-9 months, and then during that whole time nobody said I love you, just to give you like a little bit of a background. And then I slipped, I said it, and then he became like really awkward and really distant. And then we had a conversation about it, and then I told him that it's not fair for him to just lead me on like that and like keep dragging the relationship. Cool. Anyways, fast forward, we ended things, and then during December time, I don't know, it's always just really crazy during that time. Like you always be wanting somebody. Listen, this homie slept with me and left the next morning. In my mind, I was like, okay, that means we're back together, And he was like, so now I'm asking him like the next morning, because he just left and didn't say anything to me the whole day, and I'm like, like, what's up? Like, what's popping? And then he was like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, so what was, last night? And he was like, yeah, what was last night? Imagine! So listen, it's always best. Trust me, if I could redo that situation over again, I don't think I would have given my body, myself in that manner that early on. So sometimes I feel like sex does tend to confuse things a little. You could confuse it for loving somebody, for liking somebody, when it's in actual sense it's just lust. Like sometimes actually just taking sex away from the equation and getting to know that person as who they are, sometimes you really get to see that you actually don't have much in common. You got nothing to talk about but sex
when the illusions drop.
So it's quite important that you just look at the person as they are before those things happen. And lust gets confused along the way, and you end up getting yourself in a situation where you're hurting and you think it's love, but really it's just sex. And things get misinterpreted along the way. Don't do that.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that heartfelt testimony there, because I feel like in those situations, if you put yourself first, it comes back to a situation of like, who are you giving yourself to? Like, and yes, someone can be like, but he like did you dirty, which he did do you dirty, but like there were probably red flags in the relationship, for sure. You understand, that before it got to where it got to, that Chiko probably looked at, she was like, well, it's red, but it's a lighter shade.
No, it's not red. Maybe it's looking a little orange. You see?
It's all about perception.
I mean, orange and green, pretty much the same thing.
tomato from what is truly there. So I think a lot of people elude themselves, into relationships, thinking that this is the one, but the whole relationship is based on the sexual interaction that they have. And that's why they say wait until someone fully commits to you, or when someone gives themselves to you, so that you can trust that this person is not just using you as a physical object, that you can trust that this relationship is grounded on a solid foundation. These conversations, they are like appropriate, like, okay, you're gonna have to wait to get me. But some people, they will still do you dirty. They will wait those 3 months, and then they will still do you dirty because they don't owe you anything. And I think when you have a commitment with someone that is true,
they owe you nothing.
They owe you nothing. They owe you not a dollar or a dime, not even an ice in winter. They owe you jack. You understand? So like, you need to ask yourself, like, who is this person? And that's why you try to get to know. I made it.
It's so good.
When I bought it at the store. But like, it's good to look at the person and be like, okay, who's this person? Spend time with their people. Spend time with the people they spend time with. Get to know their friends, their family. Get to know what type of person that they are. A man or a woman, they can tell you everything you want to hear. Like, I'm also thinking of my wife and building a house and getting us a dog and there you are now shivering like, this is the one, God. This is the one I've been praying for.
You're not imagining your future with this person.
But you don't know, if you only sat down and spoke to maybe other people that this person was involved, they would tell you, yo, take what this man says honestly, as 2 grains of rice.
When you hang out with your man's friends or your girl's friends, and they're acting completely different to what this person says he is. My man's different. Oh, my girl's different though. She a different breed.
Nah,
how is she okay with those type of conversations? You know what I mean?
Your people, your person's friends also tell a lot about like who they are. And a lot of the times, like my exes or the people that I dealt with, when I would get around their friends, like it would be orcs. Because there's this narrative that I've been trying to tell myself is going on, and when I get into the crux of things, that was not what I was met with. And I think a lot of the times when you are close with someone, you build, illusions in your mind about what it could possibly be, not knowing that this person is someone completely different. And looking at the people they surround themselves with is very important. But let's move on. You understand? Okay, so my next question to you is, what would you say is the main reason why people partake in various sexual interactions?
The main reason?
Something you'd be like, well, I mean, this is how it usually is. This is what I usually think people are talking about before they do it. Or like, what do you think is usually what you are met with in your own personal life? Because we can't speak on everybody's business.
True.
But like, for you...
I think it's 2-3 things.
Okay.
1, to solidify the situation.
Okay.
To feel loved and to feel closer to the person. And sometimes you're just lonely. And loneliness is a hole.
So long.
Yeah. Sometimes loneliness is a hole.
Yeah, that's true.
A very dangerous hole for that matter. So... yeah, those I guess are the 3 main reasons, I think.
Yeah, I can say that too. I think that too. A lot of people, for me, I'm going to say seeking validation, externally. Wanting to keep people captive is also another thing. Like, if I give you this, you're going to be insane about me, or you're not going to want to leave. If I lay it down, and also another one is that a lack of identity. I think when you don't know who you are, it's so easy for you to lay down with anybody, lay down with the enemy, lay down with those people who do not have good intentions for you long term, because you lack self-identity and esteem, if I can say that. And in no way am I condemning those people who are now like, in the bed as we speak. But it's like more of, how does this person treat you? How is your relationship? Is it a solid foundation that is being groomed for fruitful things in the future? Or are you just, 10 p.m. he texted me again. at 10 p.m. every weekend.
That's the only time you'll get to hang out.
You know, you don't know nothing about his friends.
Cheers.
You know nothing about his family. You know nothing about nothing. All you know is that his bedroom like smells like ganja. Oh my God. Have you seen the rest of the house? Hands, you know, sometimes they're also hush hush. You know, I think a lot of people are done most dirty by hands. You know,
truly.
They will. And my man's is like, but you saw her in the streets the first time you met her and she was twerking on a man she said she knew nothing about. Now, I'm not saying you can't turn anyone, or I'm not even saying turn anyone, but I'm saying like the way you sometimes meet people kind of tells you about what's going to go down, unless they are actively working on themselves and striving for a better person. But if you catch me in the streets and every weekend I'm in the streets, what do you think this relationship is going to be? You know, and you saw what I was doing in the streets. Now I'm also saying I don't judge people who do go out and get it down, you know, bust it, you know, but it's also like what you show is kind of what you are in a way. So if someone shows you who they are, you have to believe them. That if you enter a relationship with someone and this person doesn't value you, they don't rate you in a proper way, but you assume that this relationship is solidified in gold, you are mistaken. You know, but I mean, I don't want to say it takes practice. It takes time. You know, these things take time to also kick into your spirit. So my next question is, what advice would you share based on your own past lessons learned from not following what you felt like God has in store for you?
I feel like it's delayed a lot of my blessings. I was, for example, supposed to take a year of singleness. I was supposed to go into a season of singleness at a certain point in my life, but I decided not to and got into a relationship. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you don't, how would I say it in my language, you can't chase a girl love, which means you don't say, oh, now I'm gonna be in a relationship, I'm jumping in. You know, like it sometimes, most times actually it just kind of happens, you know what I mean? You don't really, I'm looking, I want my man, and then find a man. Okay, if you do, cheers to you. But like most cases, it just happens. And I guess I was still open to it just happening instead of like being specifically single, intentionally single. So because I didn't take that break at that time, I found myself in a space where all those promises I had made to myself, all those prayers that I was praying were very delayed. I simply just didn't want to wait, you know, to take this time to really get to know myself, to heal from all these traumatic things and experiences that I had experienced. Got myself in spaces where I'm committing myself to somebody, giving my body to somebody, when I could have just been working on myself and allowed certain things to manifest and happen in my life. So I feel like a really big lesson is singleness is actually very important. And when you take that time of singleness, you get to know who you are, you get to know what you want in a person, you get to know what you would tolerate, what you would not tolerate, you get to know what you also bring as a person in a relationship and in those sexual stuff. And sometimes when you do take that time, like plug it off and try to be celibate, you know, a lot of blessings come. For example, celibacy is also masturbating, by the way, like putting off masturbation. I know that chat is very difficult, you know, very hard to come by. Yes, I'm a girl, yes, I'm a Christian, and yes, sometimes I find myself in a pit. It is what it is.
In between a rock and a hard place.
It is what it is. That specific act actually delays. It's the devil.
I mean, what you're saying is true. I think when you partake sexually with some people who are not in your best interest, because you have connected with them spiritually, you get some of what they've got. So if now Chiko is on a path of like seeking righteousness and trying to become whole within, self-love and all that healing journey, and she meets someone who is not on that path, she will be hindered in so many ways because she has now joined herself together with an individual that is not going forward. Because if a relationship enters your life and you find yourself like, he's not texting me, why is he not texting me? And now you become anxious. Now everything you become suspicious about. You constantly worried. You are obviously blocking your blessings because energetically you are not attracting the things that your heart desires because your heart is elsewhere. The Bible says, above all things, guard your heart, because from it you understand you speak certain words. So that if you are in relationships that are kind of toxic and everything like that, of course you'll be hindered because your mind is elsewhere. If you are in relationships that are fruitful, of course you will produce fruitful things because you will be in the right space, in the right season of your life. But there are some seasons where, force divine spirit God says, whoa, take a chill pill. You understand? And you like, I hear you. No, I hear you. I do. But he bought flowers. He's so fun. Like, he makes me kiki ha ha all night. So I don't know about you, God, but I'm
gonna wait it out. I'm gonna see what happens.
I'm gonna see what's cooking, and God's gonna be like, there she go again. I was saying that, like, if you align yourself with someone who is not fruitful and multiplying and on the ones and twos, but you are, at some point you are going to become like the person you spend the time with. You are a product of the 5 people you spend most time with, and in partnerships you spend the most time with your partner. So because if your partner is not working on himself or herself and constantly growing and aligning themselves with what you, I hope, want for yourself, how do you think God can bless that? So there comes a time when God's like, chill, be single for a little bit. And then people say they are called to the season of singleness. And if you obey in that season, so many things, like Chiko has said, can be produced. You get to know yourself. You get to know what you tolerate. For the longest time, I found myself in relationships that left me broke, busted, and disgusted. Inside, I was just a wreck. I came in like a wrecking ball. Like, if you call me
relatable content.
When I pulled out of that relationship and I started doing the intentional work and healing on myself, I was then met with like, I'm the bee's knees, you understand? To a degree, I'm not Beyonce, I'm not, I'm my own queen, but I found out who I was. I'm Solow, and that's how I discovered all the qualities and the characteristics that I liked about myself. And then I was able to look at relationships and be like, do I want these people in my life? Now that I'm by myself, do I want to continuously attract certain people that have caused me these things? Because I took the time to reflect on past relationships. So it was then giving me room to explore who I was and to come into an understanding of what I do want and what I don't want, what I will tolerate and what I won't tolerate. So sometimes the biggest advice that I can give people who are thinking of maybe going celibate, going single, ready to not mingle, but like just in some relationships, I would just say that first discover who you are, because the Bible says that love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul. Then love your neighbor as you love yourself. The second commandment is to love yourself. You understand? Because if you do not love yourself, you cannot love another. And the quote that I love the most is, you can only meet another as deeply as you have met yourself. And if you have not met yourself on a deeper level, how do you expect another person to reveal themselves to you that deeply?
Even you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you need to pour into yourself first before you can pour into others. Go on.
So that's that. You just have to love yourself. You just have to put yourself first. You have to continuously seek knowledge and seek wisdom and get the understanding of what you want, what you're partaking in. Guys, that a person who's only into you based on your physical attributes should not have any piece of you in the first place. That relationships, it's if you ever get into a commitment with someone, this body's going to change, this face is going to change, but my soul will remain the same. And if you're not in love with my soul, you will be over me the minute my body starts to change. And if you want people in your life who are constantly coming in based on what you have to show them, you will never have any true solid foundations to build on. It will always just be fickle and futile and leading down a road of broke, busted, and disgustedhood.
Straight.
So yeah, Chiko, my next question is to you. Are we all doomed? What should the church do to help people who are struggling?
I do not think we're all doomed. I don't.
There's hope.
I don't. Yes, there's definitely hope. I feel like you just need to find a space where you have come and found yourself in one with Christ. I feel like the church needs to have, as I've constantly said in this video, more open spaces, like in the youth groups, in the communities, where as girls you're talking about things like that, where, listen, I'm struggling with A, B, C, D. How do I deal with it? Then maybe, I don't know, you guys come together and you figure this out. One thing I do know though is a sin that is hidden can never be healed. So if you, for example, struggle with watching porn, if you are hiding it, my friend, and you feel like, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna stop you, it's just never gonna happen, because it's just you in secret. That stuff is actually very addictive, like cocaine. And if you do not bring it out to the open, that's if you truly want to move from things like that. If you don't bring it out to the open, and if you do not talk about it with somebody, if you don't have an accountability partner, which is, I think, things that we need to do as a church, as a community, as a whole, as, you know, a family of Jesus,
Body of Christ.
as a body of Christ, need to leave room to talk about it, and talk about it with love, to not make the other person feel like they're a sinner and that God hates them and that they're going to hell and things like that. No. I feel like this is a very delicate topic. It's a very delicate and sensitive subject that you need to receive whatever the person is telling you with a lot of love and care, because it took a lot for that person to come and open up, to say that, listen, I'm struggling with this and I'm trying to get over this. How do I do it? Walk with that, in that path with that person, to ensure that they do break from it. But as I said before, if you keep it to yourself and think that you're going to do it by yourself, you can't. You really can't. You can't. It cannot be a one-man thing, because growing up, I'm sure most of us, we have learned so many things on our path, from society, from our friends, from our experiences, that it just can't be broken on your own. You can't do it on your own. For you to do it with Christ as well, you need to do it with someone there as well, somebody who's going to keep you accountable, so that you actually do, you know, break from it and don't doom. We're not doomed, as I said.
Love everything that you just said. We are not doomed, and this journey is not meant to be walked alone. And that's why I even say in my podcast, you already know, podcast play. If you don't want to check out my podcast, go in about the thing down below. But this journey is not meant to be walked alone, and that's why people come and people share what they have been through, to show you that you are not alone. And there are people like Chiko didn't know what conversation we were gonna have or what's gonna produce, but just the mere fact that she availed herself to have such conversations maybe helps set me free, helps set you free. So in her sharing, she's able to help other people get free. So you need to know that if you are going through something and you are working on that thing, sharing it with others around you also helps you set yourself free, because now you have created a channel for that energy to flow. But if you can make yourself a person and also hopefully be received by a person who's like, I understand where you're coming from, I can put myself in your shoes, and if I can't put myself in your shoes, I can allow myself to have compassion and empathy for where you come from, and try to sympathize with your story. And then that creates a whole group of people who continuously want to help grow each other. And a closer saying is, a person is a person because of a person, and we all need each other. No one is lesser or greater than.
Share something like that and you bring it out to the open, it no longer has power over you, because when you're keeping it in secret, it does somewhat, have a power over you, because at the end of the day, this is a secret that you need to cover up. This is something that you don't really want to share. But when you bring it out to the open, you see that you're slowly releasing it. You're slowly, letting the power go. So, as you said, the truth will set you free.
And my final question to you, Chiko, after our meal and our snack, I'm so full and I'm filled with knowledge, filled with conversation, filled with food. It's just been so great. My final question to you is, where are you on your journey right now, and where would you like to be?
So right now, as I keep saying, I'm a work in progress. I feel like I'm in a space of celibacy. It's not easy, I'm not gonna lie. It's really not. But a
You
day
can
at a
do
time,
Yeah.
we're doing it. I feel like giving myself very short goals to say that, okay, in the month of, or from now until, and then see how far I can go. Where I would like to be, I'd like to be in a space where, I'm so planted and so solid within myself that sex, lust, and all that stuff no longer controls me. And I'm in a space where I see myself the way God sees me. And that's a journey. It's been a journey. I mean, with all these different lies that I've said to myself, or I've heard, or I've assumed that I've heard about myself, has been really difficult to get over, And yeah, that just builds up a lot of insecurity, which is not cute. That's where I'd like to be.
And we wish you, all of us watching, nothing but the best. And thank you so much for being hard, humble, open, and transparent in our conversation. Because I feel like when people are honest and they're speaking truth, it is really a recipe for setting people free who might be in a similar situation. But Chikoberry cooks. Thank you so much for being with me. You already know what time it is. SolowSays. You understand? We are fed. We are full.
Wait, are you not gonna share?
And that's all, folks. I'd hope that people who do watch my videos kind of know where I am. So I'm seeking the kingdom of God. And right now I'm in a space of learning. I am not perfect. And I am still, figuring out parts of me and overcoming certain things that I do battle with. So I have not yet reached the finish line. And I even said to Chiko before we had this conversation, that I don't want to come on here and be like, I have done it, so come on board. But it's more of let's
get there together.
Yeah, it's a we thing. I speak French, you understand? But yeah, so it's more of that. And I'm just while she gets over her laugh, I'm just working on no, I'm kidding. I'm just working on myself. And where would I like to be? I'd like to be someone who is strong in my convictions and my beliefs, someone who stands accountable for the things that I speak about and talk about, someone who inspires, someone who encourages, and someone who offers continuously a place where people can come speak authentically and be heard, truthfully for what they have been through and what they are constantly going through. So God is going to work on me. God is still working on me. I'm not perfect, not a licensed practitioner in any way, just solo, and yeah, that's where I am, and that's where I'd like to be.
You have to remind them once in a while, you know what I mean?
My mission statement.
Yeah.
I'm here to set the captives free. No. Yeah, I mean, yes, that is important. Thank you so much once again, Chiko. This conversation wouldn't have been able to be had solo, because it always deserves a second voice, and I'm going to be having so many conversations with different types of people about different types of things. So if you are interested in that, do subscribe, do like, do share, do tell a friend, as SolowSays. Chiko was here and she shared a troop and nothing but a troop, you understand? I will leave Chiko's details in the description box down below, so if you do want to go check her out and check out her cooking and fill yourself up in the spirit on her food, you can definitely go do that. But yeah, that's all we have to say about sexual education. If you do like our vibe, please do subscribe and like and all that good stuff. But wherever you are in the world, I We hope that you have a lovely day and that you remember that you are a blessing to yourself and to those around you.